Welcome to another episode of Astral Auto Repairs. Can you dig it? Alright, listen, on the first video, this is our part 2 of this 2003 Nissan Maxima GLE. First video I said it was 2002, but it is a 2003. So today what we're going to do, we're going to take a... the first thing we're going to do is pressure wash this engine, get all this dirt and grime off so we can work with something clean. I really hate working with dirty stuff, so we need to get this clean. But we're going to go over a few things before we do. Better yet, let me grab you and show you what you're going to do, what we're going to do. We're going to walk around the engine and try to see any kind of leaks, anything we are going to miss. And let's see, we start from back here. It's all clean, it's just dirty. Okay, definitely what we're going to do is the AC compressor. We're going to take off those, the two nuts on it. And we're going to put some plastic over that, stick some plastic down there. We want to make sure we don't get no water down in that compressor. And you know, usually I would take the compressor off before I do this, but that compressor is dirty too, so we need that cleaned. Alright, and we go around. We're gonna put something over the intake, make sure we don't get nothing down in there. Now, hey Eric, that's right, remember we had this thing had the power steering fluid was low, and it was making a lot of noise. What's this? We got a little oil leak going on up in here, and it looks like might be the rear main seal or the oil pan, but that's okay because we're putting new stuff up there also. This power steering, it had a... Let's see now, we gotta see if because you know this power steering pump is very, very difficult to do when the engine's in there. So if something wrong with it, I'm gonna go ahead and replace it now. As you can see, it'll be a lot easier. Alright, we're going around, got some hoses up here, everything looking pretty good. Little leak on the valve cover, I ain't worried about that because we're changing that also. And you know, everything looking good. Let me go up under this hood and see something here. Now see back there, the power steering lines look a little wet back there, so I might check that out. You know, because that's real easy to change that line while it's out here. You know, for like doing when that engine's in there. So we're gonna check that out, revisit that once we get everything ready. All right, let's close this hood back down. All right, as you can see, we got our pressure washer over there. This is a Briggs and Stratton. We had this for a while. Actually, like 3 or 4 years. Thing's been very dependable, very good. Brute, but it's I don't see it no more. I guess stuff that made the last, they don't want to make it no more. All right, and we got the wand over here. Got our fan. All right, let's get this camera set up. Let's get this thing going, and let's start pressure washing. Okay, getting ready to power wash. As you see, got some plastic. We made sure we took a screwdriver, stuck it down in there. Make sure it's nice and tight in there. Then we took some blue duct tape and covered up the whole intake. And now if a little water gets in there, it doesn't matter because we're going to be breaking this thing apart pretty quick. You see, we got the whole the catalytic converter up there. We got everything still hooked up to this engine. All right, let's start this pressure washer up and do some work on this engine. too cold out here to be pressure washing. Cold out here. All right, we got the majority of the oil and grime off. You know, as I said, I don't like to work with a lot of oil and grease. I like to work with a clean engine, clean parts. As you notice, we work with a tie on, so I want things I work on to be cleaned also. All right. Now, our next step is we gotta separate everything. We gotta take off the exhaust manifold, the cross member, the frame right here, engine frame, the transmission. We gotta separate all that. Now, but before we do that, we're gonna have to take our engine hoist, jack the engine up, pick the engine up, so we can get up under it and separate the torque converter bolts, and then we can lower it back down, and then we can take off the bell housing bolts and pull the engine right back out of there. And looks like yeah, I gotta take out the starter too, because the starter's, well, actually I might be able to leave this. No, it looks like there's a big bolt. That's a long bolt going through there. All right, that's no problem. All right, so when we come back, what we're gonna do, we're gonna hook up the chain, and then we're gonna go back and pick this engine up. We'll be right back. Okay, as you can see, I had to twist the engine around because I want to have the engine hoist toward the front of the engine. So when I pick it up and I'm disconnecting the transmission got room to go back instead of towards the engine hoist. Now, hoisting these up, once you got the engine out and all, or if you're taking it out from the top, see this bracket over here? See, I got the chain hooked up in there. Now over here, this is where you gotta be careful at, because you gotta make sure the chain is someplace nowhere flimsy, no little bolts or nothing. So as you can see, you got the alternator right here, and the timing cover. I got the chain wrapped around that bracket down there, right there. See that? Got that chain wrapped around there and hooked together. Then what I did, because I noticed when I put it up there, I noticed there was a little tension on the VTEC valve. So 3 10mm bolts took that valve out. You want to be very careful. You don't want to mess up nothing, especially you got this far. All right, so let's get over here and start jacking this up, and you let the hoist do all the work. Yeah, make sure everything is good right there. Now, and I noticed that when I start jacking up, see how the angle I'm at? When I start jacking it up, I know the engine's going to start pulling towards the hoist. You know what? Let's take this cover off right here. Okay, the oil cap. All right. Yeah, it's starting to pick up. Okay, make sure everything out of the way. All right, let's get this thing jacked up in the air. We'll be right back. See if I can get you closer right there. Okay, now we just want it just enough to make sure we can get up under there. Get those bell housing bolts. All right, there we go. Okay, when we come back, we're gonna pop the rest of that axle out, and then we're gonna get to the converter bolts and take those off, and then we'll be ready to slide this the starter off, and we'll slide this transmission back off there. Be right back. Okay, I got the camera set up to the back of the engine. This would be a great view. All right, let's go over here and do some work. The first thing, let's get rid of that the frame at the bottom. Let's take that off. It looks like what we got, it looks like 17mm bolts. Yes, it is. I got a little wobble extension so I can get past the transmission. Okay, make sure nothing else is connected on it. We're going to take the bolt, let's put it back in there so we know where that bolt goes. That's a lot of weight off this thing. All right. Next is, you know what? Let's disconnect. A few things to disconnect here. Let's take off this starter. The starter looks like they look like 18s. Nope, but they're 17mm bolts. But before we do that, got the harness over here. Let's get this. I'm looking at this harness and it looks like the whole thing is connected to the starter. So instead of disconnecting the starter, we're going to take the whole harness up with us. So we're going to get a screwdriver, pop that out, get the little bracket off it, get that clip fit, and we're going to get, wow, this top starter bolt. Okay, we got 1, 2, and then we got 3. Probably got a third bolt on there, maybe. Way up under here. Looks like about a 14. And then we got the 17 over here. So let's get that off and then get ready to take them bolts off. Be right back. Okay. Let's get this starter off. Got the wiring harness disconnected from it. Looks like we got a 14 and a 17 up under there. Now what I'm going to do, you can see this, I'm going to get a reducer from 1/2 inch to 3/8. Probably, you can get in there like that. Okay, this one's a 17. And probably going to need a little extension on that other one. That one looks like a 14. Get the bracket up a little bit. There you go. Get the starter out of there. And there we go. Got the starter out. Now on these bolts, see, we can't really put them back in there. Now the top one you can, because it don't go all the way through, so we can stick that top bolt back in there. But the other bolt is actually part of the bell housing, so we're just going to keep that with the starter. Okay, we'll put that to the side. All right, now when we come back, we're going to move around to the side. Let's take out that axle. We'll be right back. Okay, next thing we're going to do is remove this axle that we left in. And if you look up under here, you see 3 14mm bolts. We're going to take the whole shaft out altogether. But before we do that, because our next step is removing the exhaust system, what we're going to do is get some WD-40. Let that sit on these bolts for a little while. And where we connected up under here, you know, I wonder if I can just disconnect that whole thing right there. Alright, we're gonna go over here. Might have to take off that shield to get to the... No, it looks like it's 3. So we're gonna have to spray them up. One right there. And we're gonna have the two 10mm bolts up under here. We're gonna have to take off this shield, so let's bring them shield bolts up so they don't snap. So we're gonna let that sit for a while we go over here and take off the axle bolts. Now what we got here, we got a 1/2 inch universal 14mm. Gonna hook it up to an extension. Gets right in there perfectly. All right, so let's get take those 3 bolts out. Let's get that axle out of there. Okay, as you can see, it's all loose. Now before we do anything, we're going to set a pan up under here just in case some transmission fluid comes out when we pull that shaft out. Alright, let's get us a pan and we'll be right back. Okay, so we got a good look here. Alright, let's try to get this thing out of here. I was hoping this thing slide out of there. Give me a hard time. And what I'm going to have to do here I realize this thing is kind of giving me a small hard time. That's not a problem, because what I'm going to have to do is just take this exhaust down so I can swing it out further. There we go. All right, axle's out. All right. Now we come back, I'm gonna show you how to set these parts up as we are taking them out. We'll be right back. Okay, got that out. Now what I want to show you over here is, now see, as I'm taking these parts off this assembly, I'm lining them up. There's our frame, there's the starter, there's the axle. So going back together, we just follow back on the line. Now in a little while I'm going to show you where we put all these parts. You don't want to keep these parts outside and let rain get all on rust. I'm going to show you where we keep them. Alright, let's back over to our little project here. Let's first we're going to do is get a 10mm and we're going to take off up under here this shield, heat shield right here, two 10mm bolts. Take them off so we can get to those exhaust pipe bolts, and then we're going to take these off. Alright, let's get that done. Okay, let's see where we are here. Took out the 3 bolts right here. Now one of them came off just the nut. I thought all 3 of them would, but hey, as long as they didn't strip or break off, that was great. Up under here we got the exhaust, we got the 3 bolts. They're out. I'm going to show you a little bit later those. Now up under here we got 2 12mm bolts. That's holding this exhaust system up now. So let's get those out and drop this out of here. So we got another place holding over here. You know, let's jack this engine up a little bit so we can get a better look at this and what's going on. Okay, we got it jacked up a little bit. Now what I noticed is we got an O2 sensor right here going that pipe we trying to take off. So let's follow that O2 sensor around. And we're gonna start unplugging it, unhooking it. Looks like it goes to the blue connector. So we're gonna get a screwdriver and pop that off. Right back. Okay, we got them unplugged. Let's try to get this pipe out of here. Just stuck on the little shield over here a little bit, but it's gonna come down sooner or later. You hate when things get stuck just a little bit. And I see a little problem we have up under here while we're doing this. Okay, we're gonna get us a pry bar and pry it off. But what I'm gonna show you something over here that's gonna be an issue. This problem's just starting to occur now. Okay, we got this off over here, but look what we got up under here. See that? That's part of the catalytic converter. The catalytic converter is busted on this side. That is not good. Let's take this apart and look at the other cats, because there's another expense that nobody's seen. Alright, let's get this down and we'll be right back. Matter of fact, what I'm gonna do is on this over here in the shield, we got these three, I see two over here, 10mm nuts. One right here, then one right here, both. Let's get those off so that shield can pick up and we can take this pipe out of there. Alright, let's get that done and join me when you come back. Okay, we got the exhaust down. Okay, got that. Now, before we do anything else, all the bolts that we took out, what you want to do is set them back to where they are, so that way, you know, it's easy to put this back together. Like I've always taught you doing that. Get the 3 bolts in the exhaust. Got the shield. You know the shield goes up under here. I put those bolts back in. So we're going to set this with this exhaust pipe. Now if I can see inside the cat, what we want to do is look at this cat also. We know we got a bad cat over here. In fact, let's take a better look at this. We're going to see it better once we take this apart. You see up under here, see the, that's all, wow, that's all loose. We got a cat back here, but that one looks like it's good. That one's still in solid intact. And we got this car got 3 catalytic converters. Now this one over here we can't really tell, but once we get this exhaust off, we're going to take a better look at this one and see how it looks. So we know we got a bad cat on that side. You know, it's very important for you to, as you're taking an engine apart, you want to look at, make sure you see anything wrong, so you can get that taken care of before you put all this back together. Then you have an issue. All right, so let's put this over there on our line of parts and go to the next step. Okay. Okay, we'll be right back. Okay, let's see if we can get a good look at what we gotta do next. Yeah, see that one bolt right there, 10 millimeter? There's a shield up under there. The camera can't go any lower. You know, let me see something here. If I can adjust this to go lower. Yeah, that's better. All right, we gotta get those converter bolts out of there so we can get this transmission down. 10 millimeter bolt. Let's take off this cover. We'll put that bolt back in there so we know where that goes. Got the little shield. Now, set this camera up right here. Now inside of here is torque converter bolts. It's gonna be right inside here. You're gonna see it. Now I gotta get a ratchet, 19 millimeter. And what I gotta do is come up here to the harmonic balancer, put it up here, and I gotta by hand turn the engine till I see the nuts or bolts that will hold this converter on. All right, when we be back, I'm going to show you how that's done. Be right back. Okay, we got our 19 millimeter with a 1/2 inch drive, and what we're gonna do is turn the engine. And what you're going to do is you're going to keep an eye on right there to see a bolt. We're going to be taking off. Yeah, there's number one right there. You stop it right there. You see what size bolt that is. Let's see, it looks like about a 15. Nope. So it's got to be a 14. Which is around here somewhere. And what we're going to do is get the air ratchet. Yeah. And we're going to get a universal because you want to make sure that you get on that socket flush, because there will strip out easily. Now I'm going to see if it's better to use the universal or can I use a wobble. The wobble looks like you can get in there a little bit. Let's try that wobble. You got one. Now what you do is keep on turning the engine and get the rest of those bolts out. Okay? When you're done with that, come on back and join me and let's get these bell housings, start getting these bell housing bolts out and take this transmission off of there. We'll be right back. Okay, we got the 4 bolts out of there. Now what we're gonna do is, see, we got the bolts down here, we got that cover. We got the 4 converter bolts, so we're gonna keep them by themselves. Now before we lower this down, we're gonna get these bolts out of the bell housing because they go opposite way. All right, so we got 1, that's a 17, a 14, a 14, a 14. We go over to the other side of the engine. We got a 14. And that's it for that. Because then we're gonna lower it down and then we get the back bolts. So the transmission still gonna hold up into place. So you saw those bolts right there. Let's get those bolts taken out and we'll be right back. Okay, we got the bolts out. Got them right here. We got 4 14 millimeter bolts, all the same size. Then we got the 117. Notice that one's green. Notice the greenness on that. Remember that. It's gonna go right over here to the right side. All right, now we're gonna lower our unit down enough that we can get to the rest of this stuff. So when we come back, let's get this down, and if you might have to, like if you got it on an engine hoist like I do, let's get this pan out of the way. What I might do is set a piece of wood up under here so the engine can come down on and rest if it need be. Remember, we still gotta take a look at that caliper converter over there. All right, so when we come back, we should have this thing set down and get ready to work on the back for the wiring, all the wiring, any kind of wiring for the transmission. Looks like right here, all that's staying together. We ain't gotta worry about that. The negative cable is connected to it by this little 10mm bolt. We're gonna take that out. The fill tube, 10mm bolt. I'm gonna take that out. Just pop this clip on the breather, the vent hose, and then we'll be ready to take that out. So let's get that done. Let's get the 10 over there, 10 right there. Get that disconnected, and we're gonna hit those bell housing bolts and back this transmission up. But remember, let's let this down, get this down as low as possible. All right, we'll be right back. Okay, as you see, we got it, the engine just down. And now we look over here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts, 4 17mm bolts, and our transmission should back right off of there. All right. So I'm gonna set you up around so you can get a good angle at this. And when I set you, I'm gonna set you up. We're gonna go take them bolts out. All right. Get ready. Get your 17mm with an extension and a universal. I'm gonna show you that in a minute. And let's get those bolts off. Okay. So I got me a long extension. It's like about a foot long extension. No, sorry, 9 1/4 inch extension. Little wobble socket on the end. I like wobbles. And then a 17mm. Get this thing on. Okay. Before I take that last bolt out, I just want to take these out, and I always make sure that all the bolts are the same length, because you don't want to put a longer bolt where a short bolt is, or you'll go right into something and break it. You don't want to do that. Let's get this last bolt, and you're going to start seeing the transmission break away. Okay, now you notice, see what I mean? See how that one's longer? So I know that one goes over here, right above the starter. Go around, make sure we don't got no other bolts. Shake it a little bit. Okay, let's pick it up, get a little. Okay. Looks like it is separating. Let's get a pry bar. And get that off of there. Matter of fact, what I might do, yeah, let me get a. Oh, there it is. Let's get a little screwdriver or something to see if we can pry this away over here. There we go. Now this is where you're going to manhandle it. Grab that transmission like, you know, don't try to be crazy with it. Get you a good spot and you're just going to drag this back. There you go, just like that. Okay. Now, let me show you something over this side. Go down, you see a little that oil down there. Now see that? Look, believe it or not, that is transmission fluid. This transmission fluid is really dark, and it's coming out because we got a. And then back here, we got a little converter. The converter, it probably came out a little bit, but I'm gonna show you how to set that back in. You set it in and go into the pump. So let's finish manhandling our transmission and get it out of the way. Okay. Now we're looking good. Now we're looking really good. Now we just got the engine itself. Next we're gonna do, we're gonna jack this engine up high enough. Remove the flywheel. We're gonna get ready to set this up on our engine stand. Alright, so let's get this up in the air, and I'm gonna set up, and I'm gonna tell you, get ready. What we're gonna do is pick it up in the air, and you got the bolts for the flywheel. Get those bolts out of here. But you know, before you do that, because it's got a little crank sensor right here. Now this crank sensor, if this crank sensor is disconnected, or the car will not start. The computer will not know this engine is turned over and will not allow fuel or spark. So we got a little 10mm bolt inside of here. Let's just pop that sensor out just to make sure they don't hit when we take this flywheel out. And then we're gonna get these bolts. Okay, be right back. Okay, we got the engine jacked up more. Now we gotta get this thing ready to go on to the jack stand, the engine stand. So we got to remove everything in the back. First of all, let's get these flywheel bolts out of here. 14mm. A lot of you are going to have a ring on the back of this. Make sure you put this ring back the way it's. Now you notice how, get you a closer look on this. You got little shiny spots, marks around here, and you got none in the back. So now we know the shiny part goes on the outside. Okay, so let's take that flywheel off. We got the ring. Don't drop this. Don't damage this ring. You drop it and damage it, get you a whole new flywheel. Okay, we're looking good. Now, setting this up on the engine stand, you don't want to put nothing, not the engine on this, any other arms right here, because we got to take this off to do this crank. So what we're going to do here, we might well take this off now. There might be enough room in there to get that off of there later on. We don't know. So we're going to be bolting it from the two tops, maybe to the sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. We might bolt it up like that. Yeah, that might be better. All right, let's go get our engine stand and get this thing set up. Okay, before we go get the engine stand, what I'm going to do is, I want you to do, got to lower the engine down and place your pan up under here. You got a 14mm bolt right there. I'm gonna let this engine drain the oil out so we don't have no mess, because you know I don't like messes. Wow, this bolt's in there. Just let that oil drain out of the engine while we go get our engine stand. Okay, we drained the oil out. Had to run by Lowe's and get some bolts. Strap this down a little bit. So now what we're going to do, we're going to set up the stand. Okay, let's get our bolts down here. Now what you want to do is you want to make sure this thing, the center of the engine stand, you want to make sure that it's centered to the engine, in relation to the engine. So we got our arms right here. And I think we decided we were going to use the top bolts up here. Let's see, yeah, that gives us, right, because it crank is going to be out of here. So we're going to go right ahead. Let's get us a bolt, a washer. And now that we got one in there, we can let it hang and get our other bolts in there. Okay. Number 3. Let's go over here down to here. Now I notice on number 4, there's no threads in there. So what I had to do is get a nut and a bolt with the washers. You gotta make sure it's long enough to go through the stand and the engine block, and still have enough threads to hold on with the washer. Okay, we got that on, and you can see this thing can move around a little bit. So we're gonna get it situated where we are right there above where the engine's supposed to be, right in the center of the engine. Then you're gonna tighten up the bolts. Then we're going to tighten them up to the block. This one's little brackets in the way. We're going to get that. Tighten up that one with another thing. And then we're going to take a wrench and tighten these up again. So when we come back, we're going to be ready to set this down. And what you do, while you got this up, what you're going to do is take some white lithium grease. You're going to put it around here so it'll be able to spin on the stand better. Alright, when we come back, we're going to get that ready. Okay, we got this all together. You see we got the lithium grease around here. Everything's tightened up. We're ready to get this on the stand. So we're going to take our stand. We'll manhandle it. Let's get this stand up here like this. Set it into place. And there's a little pin that goes on this one. So when you spin it, it stays, you know, where you put it. Put that pin in there. There we go. Now what we're going to do is slowly lower this assembly down. And what I'm going to do is let's bring you back here so you can get the whole look of this. All right, yeah, that's good. Let's get this down. And you notice the stand is going to hit the engine hoist. So what I'm going to do is one hand is going to lower it down and the other hand is going to push it out the way just so it don't hit. Down. Okay, lock it into place. Let's get our chain off. Let's back our hoist off of this. Here we have it. Nice. Now I'm gonna face this towards the front. So in our next series, next part, we're gonna start taking this apart. There you have it. Now in part 3, let's make sure you can get a good look at this. Okay. Matter of fact, let's go. This is especially for Leon. Leon, check it out. This is your engine. This is everything, how it looks, you know, when the engine's out. Got our stand holding that engine right up there with no problem. Okay, going around. Leon, after you watch this video, yeah, you can give us a call about that cat and see what we're going to do about that. Yeah, we're going to wash this up a little bit more before we completely take it apart. All right. Okay, let's set our camera back up here. Okay. Everything's coming out good. We can take off the chain. And this is going to end part 2. In part 3, we're going to disassemble the engine, and I'm going to show you what's very important. Again, how to line up your parts. So when you're putting this back together, it goes together nice and smooth, no problems. You don't have no bolts hanging everywhere. I hate that. So, hope you're keeping track of this. You see it's not that bad. We will see you next time. This is Timmy from Astral Auto Repairs. If we can't repair it, nobody can. Yeah, I gotta pressure wash this thing. I gotta pressure wash the ground. I do not like working in oil and grease and greasy and dirty. I just don't like that. All right, we're gonna cover up that transmission too. Get a nice plastic around it. It might be a little bit. We'll get this back together and get it in there. Take it easy, everybody.